So let's get started with today. So I'm just going to share the screen. I'm going to share my screen with you all. Okay, so can you all see what I have here? You can all see my screen? Can I just see like a thumbs up? Okay, excellent. So I noticed that you all have your microphone off, and this is fine for when you're not speaking. But when you want to speak, just remember to unmute yourself, and we'll take it in turns to speak so that not everybody is speaking at the same time. If I'm explaining something and you want to ask a question, then I think that there's a raise hand function. If not, if it doesn't work, you can try to type a message or wave at your camera if I don't notice you want to ask a question. If I still don't see you, just unmute and begin to speak. Okay, so let's start with some introductions. I'd like each of you to one at a time to unmute your microphone to just say a little bit about yourself. And I have here on the screen some suggestions. So what I'd like you to do is one by one, could you say your name, including what name you want me and your other students to call you. If you can say how old you are, where you're from, and the city or the town, the village in which you live, and just say how long you've been learning English, why have you been learning English, why are you taking the course, and what do you want to do in the future. So I'm still getting to know everybody and trying to pronounce your names correctly. So the first student, I think I pronounced your name, is it Shinrao?
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Hi everyone. My name is Yap De Singro, the full name, and I would like you all call me Singro only. And I am 17 years old this year, and I'm from Penang, a small island in Malaysia. Then I have been learning English for about 6 years, and I want to learn English because I have to prepare for my exam, which is XPM in this year. Yeah, and then I am taking this course is because of my mother friends like introduced to her, and then she suggests me to take this in order to improve my English. So the last one I hope to do in the future, I think I haven't think yet, but maybe it's about science field. Yeah, that's all. Thank you. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shinrao. And Anthony, would you like to go next, please?
Yeah, hi everyone. And my name is Anthony, and you all can call me Anthony. Yeah. Um, I was 15 years old, and I came from Penang. I learned English about 3 years, and uh, I'm taking this course because my mother's friends introduced this course for me, and I hope in future I can easy to talk to each other with use English. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anthony. And Nicholas, would you mind going next, please?
Yes, teacher. Hi everybody. I'm Lim Jun Hern, and I would like you all to call me Nicholas. Yeah. And I am 13 years old, and I learned English for 4 years. Yeah. And I want to learn English because I need to improve my English, as maybe I will use it in future. And um, I think that's all. Yeah,
That's fine. Thank you very much, Nicholas.
thanks, teacher.
So I'm just moving. So who's next? I have to admit, I'm quite new to using Zoom, so I'm not very confident using it. So I think that the person who's next is Tepi. Is that correct, Pei?
Teacher, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. My name is Pei Yi, and you can call me Pei Yi. And I'm 15 years old, and I'm from Kuala Lumpur. I have learned English at least 6 years, maybe. And I learning English because I want to study at other in England and other country. And I taking this course because my English is not good as other subjects, so I want to improve my English. And I hope my English can have improved in the future. Yes, that's all.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Pei. The next student, I don't believe I've met you before. And how do I pronounce your name? Is it wrong term? Wrong term?
Hello, everybody. My name is Tam Chin Rong. You all can call me Angela. I was 14 years old. I come from Penang. I have been learning English for 2 years. I want to learn English because I want to improve my grammar. I am taking this course because I want to improve my communication skill. I hope that I can do lawyer in the future.
Okay. Can you alter your camera a little bit so we can see your face a bit more? Great, wonderful. Okay, that's better. Excellent. And can you say the name that you would like us to call you again? Because I didn't hear. So how would you like us to call you?
Angela.
Jenna?
Angela.
Sorry, I can't quite hear it. I wonder if you can actually type it for me. If you can type it in a message for me, that would be great. Thank you. While you do that, we'll move on to our final student, please. Can you please, so if you could answer these questions about yourself.
Hi, my name is Lai Jia and you can call me Jia, and I am 13 years old now. I have been learning English 5 years, and I'm learning English because I also want to improve my English, as I might be using this in the future too. And I hope to I hope to my English will improve in the future. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Those were absolutely wonderful introductions. You did really well with your speaking there. Thank you very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about the course. So I'm just waiting for my computer to catch up. It's a little bit slow, and I will just move us over here. Okay, so you already know that we'll be using the course textbook, which Miss Wong has already shown you. Ooh, here it is. So you already know which book this is. And you should all have a copy of this. So you have an e-copy, but you also have a hard copy as well. And there's a lot of really good information in here about how to use the book, the contents. So when you have some time, you should read through just the information about the book and become familiar with the contents and the organization of the book. Okay, so just returning now here. So as you've probably seen in the contents of the book, we have a lot of units to go through. The units have a name, and the name is our context. So for example, Unit 1 is called Family Affairs. So that just means that we'll be talking about family and issues related to family, and within each unit we'll be practicing all the skills that are necessary for you to develop in order to pass the FCE exam. Now, just moving on to this point here, we'll have what's called asynchronous and synchronous time together. And all that means is that we'll have time in the class together. Not quite face-to-face, we're virtually face-to-face in the class, where we all learn at the same time together. But you'll also receive work outside of class. So you might be sent some work before class, and you might be sent work after each class as well. And I do expect you to review the material that we go through in between each class. And also as well, throughout the duration of our course, you will be asked to complete some mock examinations as well. Usually these will be in your own time, and then in the classes we will go through the answers and of course some exam strategy as well. So I just have a slide here. It has some information just about the first unit that we'll cover. And we're not covering this unit just in today's class, not the whole unit, I mean. This is just what we'll be doing throughout the whole of the first unit over the next class or 2 or 3 classes. And here you can see it's just a list of some of the things that we'll be doing within the unit. So for example, we'll be doing some exercises to help you prepare for a part of the exam called reading and use of English. So for example, part 6 and part 2 of the exam, and the key skills that we'll be practicing for this that are necessary for you to develop is the ability to be able to skim read for the main and general ideas. Within the unit, we'll also be doing some practice writing, mainly for planning and writing an essay and knowing how we can express opinions and how we can use linking or signposting language. For example, although, however, on the other hand, whereas. So you might already be familiar with some of these words, but we'll be going through a little bit more about how to use them correctly and to use them in a way that improves your writing. Okay, now in our unit, we'll be doing a little bit of listening as well. Mostly this is for listening part 1 of the speaking exam. And for this, you need to be able to identify key ideas. And then we're going to be moving on in our unit to also look at some speaking. And the key thing I've underlined here is learning how to give extended answers, because I know that in the beginning, perhaps your answers might be a little bit short. So we'll go through together how to make your answers a little bit more extended. With regards to pronunciation, we'll be looking at word stress, some general vocabulary, for instance, phrasal verbs, adjectives describe personality, behavior, common collocations in English, and how to describe districts and neighborhoods. And if you're sitting here and you're thinking, I don't know what a phrasal verb is, or I'm not exactly sure what a collocation is, don't worry right now. We will go through this, all of this together in time. So this is just an overview of the whole unit. That will be the first unit. And our focus with regards to grammar is the present perfect simple and the continuous. Okay, so in a few moments, we'll be looking at some activities from the course book itself. And I just want to say that when I want you to answer a question that I ask you, I might ask you to speak, or I might ask you to type in the text box. It just depends on the question, and also I suppose it also depends on how familiar I become with with Zoom as well, because I said it's very new to me. I'm getting used to it. And just a final point here is just some advice. I think that you really shouldn't wait until just once a week for this class once a week. You should also practice English in the meantime as well. And this actually brings me to the activity that I want us to do. So I have some questions here that I want you to really think about. And in a moment, I'll be putting you in breakout groups to discuss it together in so 2 groups of 3. So these are the questions I would like you to discuss. So if you can make a note or take a picture of the questions, and then I will put you into the breakout groups for you to discuss. So I want you to discuss, why is it important to practice English every day instead of just waiting for the class each week? I also want you to think about, what can you do in your own time to help practice and improve your English? Specifically, I want you to think about the skills, so speaking, writing, reading, and listening. And I want you to think about how, because we have virtual online lessons, we can't really be face-to-face. So what can we do to help maximize your learning experience? And finally, I just want you to discuss whether you prefer to have lessons online or in person, and to say a little bit why. So when I put you in your breakout groups in a moment, I obviously, please talk in English. So no reverting to Chinese or to Malay or Hindi. I don't think any of you are Hindi speakers, but please use just English. And you will have about 5 minutes in your breakout group. So make sure you have a note of these questions. And I will just stop sharing screen in order to put you into your breakout groups. Oh, I see that there are 2. Okay, so that was a message. So I'm just going to put you into your breakout groups. Breakout rooms. Okay, so this is my first time doing this. Hopefully it will work, and you have five minutes. So I'll see you all back here in about 5 minutes, okay? And then you can tell me what you have been discussing. Okay, I'm just waiting for everybody to finish in the breakout rooms, because not everybody has rejoined us in the main room yet. Okay, I think that is everybody back now. Wonderful, thank you. So I'm going to go back to share screen. Okay, so what I would like is to address these questions now to all of you. So the first question, why do you think it's important to practice English every day? Does anyone have an answer that they would like to share? So I'm not sure if there's anyone speaking but doesn't realize that their microphone is on mute. So remember, if you want to speak, you have to turn your microphone on. Why should you practice every day instead of just waiting for the class each week? Do you think that you might forget some of the things that you've learned? Okay, so I can see some people, I can see some of you nodding in your camera. Okay, it's always good to keep practicing. Now, I really want to hear some ideas from you. So what can you do in particular to practice the specific skills? What can you do? So if you want to answer, I actually can't see if there's a raise hand function, but you could just switch your microphone off and answer. What could you do? Okay, what could you do to improve your speaking?
Yes, teacher. I think we could watch some English movie and some English book in order to improve our speaking skills and also our writing skills. Actually,
Okay. Okay, good. So you've specifically the things you've said would be really good for reading, but in turn, anything you read will also help you with your speaking as well, because you can see how language is used in context, and that is very good. So it would be good for you to watch movies, as you say, in English. Also try without the subtitles as well. But it's challenging, but you should certainly try that. What about listening? Does anyone have any ideas about listening?
Teacher, can I say about that? For me, in listening, we can listen some songs, yeah, English songs to practice our listening.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. And I just want to make a quick correction. So when we listen to. So you listen to something. So you need that little preposition to listen to something. That's a wonderful suggestion because within a song as well, you can hear how English sounds in fluent speech, which might be quite different than what you hear in a class. So you get to hear it in a very natural context. That's wonderful. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How do you think that we can maximize learning opportunities in an online context? Because it's very different, isn't it, from face to face? What do you think you can do? Now, I think that Miss Wong's virtual tours might help you with some ideas here, but any ideas? Okay, so I'll offer a few suggestions. So for this, you can keep in contact, regular contact with me, because when if face to face, it is a lot easier to ask questions if we were in person, but online it's a little bit more difficult. But we can have the solution for this is to keep in regular contact with me. You can send me emails, you can send me messages via the platform, but also you can create an online community with your classmates as well, as Miss Wong was showing you on the Tuition King website, that there is a way for you to contact all of your classmates as well. Also, trying to keep up with all of your work, having regular work set in between classes as well. So these are just a few suggestions of how we can maximize our learning opportunities in the context of online teaching instead of being face to face. So I do recommend that after all your classes, you review the class material. And if I send you anything in advance of the class, you should have a look at that as well. Having regular work to do as well, regular homework, regular assignments, will also keep you very engaged throughout the course as well. Because if you just wait a whole week for your class, you might forget what you learned last week, or you might lose motivation. So these are all ways to try to keep you engaged throughout the duration of the course. Now, what about the last one? I think that the last question here is the number 4. And I think that by now you have quite a lot of experience having classes online, unfortunately, the time. So I would like each of you one by one. So I'll go through and pick and say your names. Well, I will try to say your names to the best of my ability. And just tell me if you prefer online or in person, and just explain to me why. So if we could start with Nicholas, please.
Yeah, teacher. For me, I prefer to learn by having in person. Because it's more maybe comfortable. Yeah. To talk with others and maybe classmates. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good reason. You said because it's more comfortable.
Yeah.
Comfortable. Okay, good. Now I'm just thinking for any time that I correct anybody, I was thinking of adding it here. So the word is comfortable. So this is a very good word to know. Okay, so just going back. Now, can I go to the next student, Pei? So I'll just go back to the question so that
I prefer to learn by in person because can have more conversation with classmate or and teacher.
Okay, that's great, absolutely wonderful. So I'm just going to go back here because I just remembered something earlier that came up to listen to. And I'm also going to, so the language that you used, PE, was absolutely fine, but I want to give you alternative wording. So because in person, so because it's easier to have more conversation, or there are more opportunities to speak with the teacher and classmates. So just alternative ways of wording what you have said. Okay, thank you very much. And let's move on now to Shinrao.
Yes, teacher. In my opinion, I prefer to having classes online because it's more convenient, as we can just make a timetable or schedule our time with ourselves, and no need to use the timetable given them with that from school, and we can also arrange our time more freely.
Okay, so are you saying that you like that it's more flexible?
Yes, flexible.
Okay, that's a nice word to use, certainly. So it's a lot more flexible. Now, there is something that you said I want to say to the class. So in English, you can say that you prefer to have classes online or in person, but you can only say to have classes online or having classes online. We can't say to having. So I'm going to put both of those alternatives here. So I prefer, I always make errors when I type. I'm quite clumsy with my hands. I hit the wrong keys all of the time. So either I prefer to have classes, say online, or I prefer having classes online, but not to having. That's not grammatical. Okay, thank you very much. Now, who is next? Okay, Angela. I finally understood the name.
Yes, teacher.
Oops, I'm on the wrong slide. Here, there's this final question here, number 4.
I prefer to learning by having classes online
Okay.
because we can study everywhere at home are more convenient to me.
I agree. I agree. And another way that we can say that is so to study at my own pace. This is a very nice phrase that you could use for describing that. Okay, thank you very much. And next we have, is it Chachi? I apologize for my pronunciation. I am not used to these names.
Yes. I prefer having classes in person because I think I can easily express my opinion, and I think it is more relaxed.
Great, excellent. So those are really good reasons. Thank you very much. And last but not least, this expression in English is Anthony. So can you answer the question number 4, please?
In my opinion, I prefer in person. Yeah, and because I love to listen to someone and talk, and in person can more chance to talk to each other, and yeah.
Good. Now, I think that it's the same for a lot of people. I think many prefer in person because this is what everybody is used to. This it's the most common way, but also I think that it's very important for everybody to also to experience and to do something different. It's always very good for you to take on new challenges as well, and this is a challenge we are going to take on together throughout our course, so hopefully that we can make this work. Okay, so just to review, I've given you some language here, as you can see. So this is the language I've given you here, either corrections or suggestions for alternative vocabulary. So another way of wording what you have said. I will try as much as possible to do this, but I won't correct every error, but more like the important errors or that's relevant to what we're doing, or if it's a common error if it's an error that students make often in the exam. Okay, so I'd like to move on now to some of the activity from the book, but just before we start the activities from the book, I think that we should take a 5-minute break. So in this 5 minutes, you're welcome to turn your camera off and to go to the bathroom or whatever it is you need to do. And we can come back here to our class in 5 minutes and then we'll do some exercises together. Does that sound good to everybody? If you could nod or thumbs up. Okay, so let's take 5 minutes, class, okay? Hi everyone, welcome back. Hopefully that was long enough for everybody to have a little break. Okay, so I'm going back to share screen now because I want to go through some exercises with you from the book. So what I would like us to do now is to have a look at this is page 12 within the course exercise book. And we're going to have a look at a grammar exercise. More specifically, we are looking at two tenses. So on the one hand, we have the present perfect simple, and on the other hand, we have the continuous. And rather than starting by explaining these two tenses to you and how to use it and when to use it, instead what we have here are some example sentences. So first of all, I want to say that the reason we are looking at these two tenses, the present perfect simple and the continuous, is because these are two tenses that are often mixed up by students. And actually, I have heard some errors being made by some of the students in this class with regards to the present perfect simple. So it is a very good tense for us to look at together. And now I do just briefly also want to say that please don't be embarrassed or feel bad if you make a mistake, if I correct you. I really believe that making mistakes is actually a very important learning process, because we can't really learn how not to do something unless we first do it incorrectly. It is a good way for us to learn and for us to improve. You never have to be embarrassed or to feel bad in our class together, okay? So let's have a look at some of these example sentences. So I'll just explain a little bit about what we're going to do in this exercise together. So as I said, we have present perfect simple and we have the continuous. And then we have, so if you look at where my mouse is pointing, so we have number 1, number 2, and number 3 here. And for number 1, 2, and 3, there are 2 sentences. You have A and B for 2, A and B, and also for 3, you have A and B. And then after each of these sentences, you have 2 options that you have to pick from. And these options just ask you which sentence describes the result of an activity, which sentence describes the length of an activity. So you see, so for this exercise, I will be sending you to breakout groups in a moment where you can discuss the answers with your classmates. So you have to decide for number 1, which sentence does A or B describes an activity, which one describes the length of an activity. And you do the same thing for number 2 and for number 3 as well. Just make sure that you read this properly, because the options that you have to pick from are different. So I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes, just a few moments, not quite 5 minutes, in your breakout rooms, discuss the answers to number 1, 2, and 3. But when you discuss the answers, try to ask yourself, why is this the answer? Because when you come back from the breakout rooms, I will ask you, first of all, what is the answer? And then I will ask you, how do you know? How do you know that this is the answer? What were your clues? So you have to explain a little bit to me. Okay, so I'm just going to put you all into breakout groups. So as I said, this is page 12, so you should have the book and the page open in front of you. I'm just changing your groups a little bit so that you're not always in the same group. Hopefully it's worked out well. Okay, so I'm now going to put you into your groups, please. So good luck, and we'll come back in a few minutes to discuss the answers together. Okay, hi everyone.
Hi, teacher.
Okay, so let's go through the answers. So let's first of all look at number 1. We have 2 options, A and B. And which of the sentence describes the result of an activity?
I think it's the 1A is the result of an activity.
Okay, good. That is the answer. Is there anything you want to say? Like, why do you think that this is the answer?
I think it's the result of an activity is the 1A is right, a best-selling book.
Yeah, so particularly, I want everyone to pay attention to the tense that has been used here. So we have Patty Pomano has written a best-selling book on teenagers, has written. So this is one of the contexts in which we use the present perfect simple to describe the result of an activity, especially if the result of the activity is relevant to right now as well. So she has written a best-selling book on teenagers. The book is something that exists. It exists now. So that leaves us with B, doesn't it? So B, do you think that this is another result of an activity, or do you think that this is the length of an activity? Does anyone want to talk us through sentence B? What's different about sentence B?
Sentence B, he say that she has writing books more than 20 years. So then this sentence say that he's keep going to writing the books.
Yes, exactly. It's an ongoing activity. So the length of an activity, the duration. So we have the clues that we have here in this sentence. First of all, of course, we have 20 years. This is a duration. Also, we have the preposition for as well, because normally when we talk about duration in English, we would use the preposition for. And also, I'd like you to pay attention to the particular tense that's being used. Now, it's been writing books. So here we have the continuous. And this is different from sentence A. So in sentence A, where we wanted to talk about the result of an activity, we use the present perfect simple. But in order to talk about the length of an activity, here we have actually the continuous instead. So she's been writing books. Okay, so I'd like us to move on now to number 2. So we have 2 sentences. I've been learning how to do things and I phoned her more than 6 times. Okay, which of those sentences describes something that's been repeated? So a repeated action. So this is number 2. Do you think it's sentence A that shows the repeated action, or do you think it's sentence B?
Teacher, in my opinion, I think it's 2A because I have been learning.
Okay, and you think that it's to describe an action that's been repeated?
Wait a minute. I see again. Sorry, it's B.
Okay, good, excellent, wonderful. So, yeah, can you tell me why? So, B, I phoned her more than 6 times, but she never answers the phone.
I have phoned her and more than 6 times. These 2 phrases.
Yeah, you have 6 times, so that's the specific adverbial information. So how many times, more than, and each time she never answered. And you have to just pay attention here that the fact that the present perfect simple has been used to talk about repeated action. And that is the key point here. Now, if we contrast this with sentence 2a, because we know that the only other option is 2. So sentence 2a describes change or developments which are not finished. So I've been learning how to do things like carpentry and so on. So very important that we use the present perfect simple when we want to talk about a situation that's with a change or development or that is not finished. So for example, this is the tense you should have all used in the beginning of the class. Some of you did, some of you did not, when you were telling me about how long you have been learning English. Because this is an action that started in the past, has changed and developed over time, but is still ongoing now. So I have been learning English, and then you would need the preposition for as well. So just like actually in 1b, when I said that for describing duration of time, we tend to use for. Now you can say since as well, but since is when you want to give a very specific time, a point in time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the PowerPoint presentation, just add a new slide and just type in a couple of examples. So I have been learning English for 5 years, for example, or I have been learning English, not English. I don't think English sounds as nice as English. I've been learning English since I was 6 years old, for example. So for to talk about duration and since to refer to a specific point in time. But the key point here is the tense. I have been learning. Okay, so just returning now to our textbook and having a look at number 3. So we have 2 sentences here, just like with number 1 and 2, A and B. And which sentence do you think is temporary? So let's review. Sentence A, I've been helping my mum while her assistant is on a holiday. Or B, we've lived in this house since I was a small child. So, which one describes a permanent situation and which one describes a temporary situation, and how do you know this? Okay, so I will go through this one for you because you've done so well to go through for me, number 1 and 2. So for number 3, let's have a look at 3A. I've been helping my mum while her assistant is on holiday. The key word here that helps us to know whether or not it's temporary or permanent is the word while. So that indicates a brief period of time. So one thing is happening at the same time as something else, but that time is limited. Therefore, it's temporary. And the tense we would need to use with this, of course, is the continuous. So I've been helping my mum while her assistant is on holiday. So only. So this also tells us that it's happening only while the assistant is on holiday. So from this, we can guess that when the assistant returns from holiday, the person will no longer be helping the mother. Okay, now let's analyze sentence 3B together. Now we know that because there are only 2 options, this must be the one that is permanent. And I think that you all already know this. You know this already because we've been talking a little bit about how and when to use this tense. So we've lived in this house since I was a small child. So we've already been talking about since, so a very specific time period. And we've lived. Now, something that I said to you, oh dear, something that I've said to you about the present perfect simple is that usually it describes an action that, while it may have begun in the past, it's either relevant or still ongoing right now. So we've lived in this house since I was a child really tells us that the person is still living in the house now. And that's a very important distinction between sentence 3A. And that means that sentence B is permanent. It describes a permanent situation. Now, in your own time and for your reference, there is a little bit of text here that I'm just highlighting. So you can actually go in your own time to page 178 to look more in depth at the language reference and to have a look at the verb tenses, the two tenses we've been talking about, what they look like. In fact, you can use that to help you with the next exercise, because the next exercise that we're going to do together is number 2 here. So for this exercise, you have 8 sentences, but don't worry, we're not going to do all 8. I'll be sending you into your breakout groups, and group 1 can look at the first 4 sentences, and group 2 can look at the next 4 sentences. And we can spend about 5 minutes in the breakout rooms discussing with each other what you think the answers are. And what you have to do in this exercise is to fill in these gaps using the verb provided in the brackets. Now you just have to decide which tense is the appropriate tense to use in these gaps. Remember to change the verb as appropriate as well. So the first one's been done for you. So we have I, gap, and then you have the verb visit and friends. So I haven't spoken to my parents yet today. So this describes an action that is temporary, because it's we know this from the example, from the word yet, because this tells us that at some point later today, or later today, the person will speak to their parents. So therefore, the action being described must be temporary. So when you're trying to figure out what the answer is, first of all, read the whole sentence and ask yourself, what kind of situation is this describing? Use the sentences above that we've gone through in exercise 1 to help you to determine what you think, which tense you should use. If you think, do you think that you will need more than 5 minutes for 4 sentences? I think 5 minutes is okay. 5 minutes, is that good? For 4, 5? Yeah, can you just put a thumb up for me? Okay, good. So I will stop sharing the screen momentarily. So just to remind you, just brief summary of what I've said. We're going to do exercise 2. Remember to use exercise 1 to help you to decide what the answer is, which tense to use. Remember to change the verb. And of course, work together, discuss this. It's very important for you to discuss this, and in English, of course. Okay, so I will just stop sharing the screen for the moment and put you into your groups for 5 minutes. Now remember, breakout room 1 is the first 4 questions, and breakout room 2 is the second, so that the final 4 questions. Okay, hi everyone, I think everyone's back. So hopefully you finished going through your 4 sentences and within your groups. How did you find that activity? Did you find it quite hard, or was it quite easy for you? If someone could just volunteer to say, oh yeah, easy, or a bit difficult.
too easy and not too difficult.
Okay, good. That is really what I like to hear. So an exercise that, you know, it does challenge you in a way, but it's not too difficult. Okay, that's great. Thank you for volunteering to speak. So I'm going to share the screen again so that we can look at the exercises together. Sometimes I forget that my microphone is on and I'm just speaking to myself. Okay, so let's have a look at these exercises. So the first one has been done for you. So actually, breakout room, you had you had 3 sentences instead of 4. So now speaking to the people who in the breakout room 1, what is the answer to number 2?
I think I have asked him to tidy his room several times.
Yeah, you are correct. That is the answer, and I'm just wondering why you think that this is the answer. What evidence tells you? What kind of event is this? What is it describing?
Because it's several times.
Good, exactly. So it's a repeated the activity that's been described. You asked him again and again and again. Exactly. So what about so can somebody else now please take us through the answer to number 3? So someone else from breakout room 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually I'm actually going to type that form, so just so everyone can see. So I have asked him to tidy his room several times. So this is what the answer should look like. Okay, so what about number 3? Could somebody volunteer from breakout group 1? So should this be, so which one do you think sounds more correct? So if I say, I have asked him to tidy his room several times, or I have, oh sorry, number 3 even. So I have cleaned the kitchen, so what would you like me to do next? Or I have been cleaning the kitchen, so what would you like me to do next? Which do you think sounds better? Why? I have cleaned or have been cleaning? Okay.
Teacher, I think is have clean more better. Yeah, better.
Good. Yeah, it is better. Exactly. So I have cleaned the kitchen. So what would you like me to do next? The reason for this is because it's describing a completed activity. So it's finished. So I have cleaned the kitchen. So what would you like me to do next? So if you imagine number 3, if you try to imagine the situation, the activity being described, it reads as a list. So they've cleaned the kitchen, so what would you like me to do next? So usually at a sequence of events, we would have something that you've done using the present, the perfect, simple. Okay. So turning now to breakout, oh no, one more sentence for breakout group 1, number 4. So number 4, my neighbor, some play the violin for the last 3 hours and it's driving me mad. Can anybody talk us through the answer to number 4, please?
I think it's have been playing.
Yes, I keep just losing where we are. So I'm sorry if there is a delay. I'm like, where did the sentence go? I'm looking for the sentence again. Yes, you're absolutely right. So I have been, my neighbor has been playing. So I'm going to just write that. So has been playing. So this is what it should look like, the actual form here, has been playing. Now, the evidence, how do you know this? How did you arrive at this answer?
For the last 3 hours.
Perfect, exactly. It's describing a duration of time. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was really great effort from Breakout Room. I keep saying Breakout Room. Breakout Room 1. Okay, let's turn now to the final 4 questions from Breakout Room 2. So number 5. So congratulations, you something passed the exam with really high marks. What is our answer here?
You have passed the exam with really high marks is because he showed a result that the person had get a really high marks.
Good. So that is correct. So again, it's an example of a completed activity. So you have passed the exam. Okay, well done. And let's move on to number 6. Poor Adriana, or is it? Can somebody tell me the answer to number 6, please?
Teacher, and I think the answer is she was only working here for a few days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, remember that we have not was, but has been, because we're talking about the perfect. So she has only been, and I'm going to type that just so we can all say that. So let's 1 second. So we can't leave it up. She has only been. She has only been working here for. So this is how it should look. Okay. So I'll just leave that on for just a second longer if anyone is still writing the form for that, because that was a particularly hard one, I think, especially because you have the word only as well. You have this adverb here in between. So not only is it she has been, but she has only been working here for. Okay. So I'm just going to return now to number 7. Okay, can somebody go through the answer to number 7 for me, please?
We have spending every summer in Crete since I was a child, so it will be sad if we don't go there this year.
Okay, I heard in your answer that you mixed the tenses. So when you said the tenses, you were mixing a little bit. So do you mean to say that we have spent, or we have been spending?
Have spent.
Okay, good. So we have spent. Good. Irregular verbs in English are a little bit difficult, aren't they? Because we have so many, and sometimes it's difficult to predict exactly what the right form is. Okay, so number 7 describes a development or a change in activity. So this is why we would we would say we have spent instead of we have been spending. Now, the final one, number 8, this is going to be the final thing that we do together before we finish our class together today. But I will leave you with an activity to do before our next class. So the final sentence, breakout room 2. What is the answer? I'm really tired because what?
Because I have cooked all day.
Okay, not quite, not because I have cooked all day. And this is because we have a duration here. So what we need here is, I'm really tired because I have been cooking all day. Okay, and I'm going to write that, because I have been cooking all day. So we have the clue to help us here was the expression all day. Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. You've all made such a great effort in our class today. It's been wonderful getting to know you all. It really has. I've been very excited for our course today. And today was very much more an introduction to getting to know you getting to know me, also you getting to know a little bit more about the website. You had the virtual tour with Miss Wong as well. And just to fill in the rest of the time, we did start with some grammar and reading exercises for just to get us warmed up and ready for Unit 1. And in our next class, we'll go through some more exercises, and it'll be speaking, we'll do some writing, etc., so on and so forth. And yes, I will be sending you all the messages as well, or anything that I might want you to do before the class. And what the homework that I would like to give you is that you can see on my screen here. I want to show you, I would like you to do exercise number 3. So in exercise number 3, you have sentences 1 to 8. And I would like each of you to rewrite these sentences. Each of these sentences has an error. Now, in this textbook, there's a little symbol here that I'm pointing to. And what this symbol means is that the mistakes that occur here are very common. And the mistakes here will be with the 2 tenses that we've been focusing on today. So your homework is simply to rewrite each of these sentences correctly. So first of all, identify the error and underline or cross it out, and then rewrite it correctly in the correct tense. Okay, so if you have any questions, is there anything that you would like to ask? Please switch on your microphone. Okay, so no questions, you're all happy? Okay. I saw Anthony nodding his head, and I'm wondering, does that mean no question or no, I'm not happy?
No question.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. I've had a great time with you all, and I hope to see you. I'll see you all again next Saturday. Please enjoy the rest of your day, class. So when you're ready, just feel free to switch off your camera, microphone, and to just leave the Zoom session. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you,
Thank
teacher.
you. Bye.